family, and welcome to I'm Stephanie, and this is I can't hear you, Tone. Is it me? All right,
Mic check, mic check. My
there you
bad.
go.
I'm back.
There you
The
go. There you
crossover.
go.
Technical difficulties.
Technical difference live. All right, welcome, Nick family, to
The crossover.
I'm Stephanie from Queens Court.
And I'm Tony Crow from Nixon Bruises.
All right,
Thank you
and
guys for joining us.
yeah, it's live. It happens. It happens. This is the crossover. This is the show that me and Tony Crow do every Wednesday, 6:30 ish, depending on whether or not the Knicks play. And we got a good one for you today. So we're gonna talk about what we agree or disagree. We're gonna go over our Knicks and bruises. We're gonna talk about coaches' decisions, coaches' challenge, and we're gonna do a little preview of the game. If you guys didn't catch, MBK did, of course, the pregame around 3:30. So if you didn't catch that, you'll get a little bit of this. All right, Tone. So we're gonna get right into the meat of the stuff.
All right, let's
Uh,
go.
right into the meat of the stuff. Uh oh. Yeah.
All right,
Would agree, disagree.
all right.
I would trade Mitchell Robinson for Jalen Brunson of the Dallas Mavericks, who we're going to see tonight, yesterday. I think their contracts are kind of similar. I think Mitch is like 1.8 or something like that. I think Brunson is like 2 point something. Brunson is actually going to be an unrestricted free agent in the summer, and Mitch is going to be a restricted free agent this summer. But if I had the opportunity, I would trade Mitch for Brunson right now. And here's why. You let me know if you agree or disagree. I feel that Brunson is plays a position of need. And even though he's playing backup for behind Luca, he has started multiple times for them when Luca was out with ankle injuries and what have you, and has played relatively well during that time. I think despite being 6'1", 6'2", he could defend the position. He can organize the team. He can hit the three. That's what I'm looking for in a point guard, and definitely some playmaking. And he's tough as nails. He comes from that Villanova program. Jay Wright and them, they're very well coached. And I think, listen, Mitch would be a loss. I think the Knicks are top five in terms of interior defense. But I think between Taj, Sims, Brittle, Noel, we can make it through the season somehow, and then pick up a center in the off season. And I think it's easier to find a McGee, in the off season than it is to find a point guard that can start for you. I'm not saying this is happening. I'm just saying this is my wish, and this is what I would do. Agree or disagree?
Um, you almost had me, and you might still have me, but right now
Mhm.
I'm gonna say disagree, and
Okay.
I'm gonna tell you why.
Okay.
Shout out to Sim, of course, as always, the Podfather. Um, I don't think you made it. You didn't make it on with the. Did you make it on with the guy from Bleacher Report?
Yes, I did.
All right, yeah. So you did. You did go on it. He had said something about the interest in Mitchell Robinson would be from a team that doesn't necessarily have the cap space to sign him in the offseason. So they would have to acquire him now to have his bird rights. So if if it's the same situation with Brunson and you don't think that we can afford him in the offseason,
Hmm.
then I agree with you 100%. But it's dangerous. Um and I say that because we haven't seen Noel all season. So
Right.
you know what I mean? Like this COVID thing seems to be more than just a COVID thing, or maybe he, God forbid, hopefully he's okay. It
Hmm.
affected him worse than some others.
Right.
But even with that. the injury, the recovery from the injuries has been taking a lot longer than I expected. Um, he did fill in for Mitch last year. I've been preaching that all
Mhm.
all season.
He did. He did.
But but he also wasn't. He was around all season and got to improve his game when Mitch went out. At this point, we haven't seen him all season, so that's my concern with giving up Mitchell Robinson for a guy that we could potentially just sign in the offseason and not give up an asset. Um, so that's why I disagree.
Mhm.
But
I'm not sure though. Oh,
if
oh
it's
no,
a if
finish,
it's a
finish.
bird right situation, if it's a bird right situation, then absolutely I see it. If you think he's going to be out of our price range in the off season, and that's why you can't we won't be able to get him, then I agree. But I think with the ties that he has to the organization, with the ties he has to the people in the organization as well, we could get him in here
But
without
I
giving
don't know
up
if
an
we have
asset.
money to sign players in free agency. I think we're capped out. I think anybody that we're gonna get, I think we have to trade for. No.
No, I think we're capped out now, but with the guys coming off the books, the Knox, I mean, I don't know about Mitchell Robinson, how much that affects. We're not because we
Yeah.
weren't that far over the cap,
Right.
and I'm pretty sure we can make it work. I'm pretty sure, even if it's a mid level exception or something of that nature,
Nah, it's gonna
that's
cost
going
more
to
than
be
that.
a. You think so?
I think it's. I think it's gonna
I don't
cost.
know.
I think it's gonna cost more than that. But I think, yeah. I mean, I don't. I think that's true in terms of the technicality of it. Do we have the money or whatever? But if Noel was healthy, money aside, whether we can sign him aside, is that a trade you would do? The
Yes,
other, and
yes.
before you answer that, or you already answered it, I
Mhm.
I think there is a risk of losing a guy when you bring him in a trade and they're about to be a free agent. But I think it's also an opportunity, depending on what you're giving up, to get that guy in your building, to get him in your building,
Mhm.
to see how he
Mhm.
operates, to see how he fits, and to kind of sell him on your organization and kind of give you a bit of a head start, hopefully,
Mhm.
over the other organizations. But at the end of the day, money is going to talk. So I agree. I wouldn't give up a whole lot um, if you risk a guy leaving. But I think, just like you said, with the ties to the organization, I doubt that would happen. Um, but I don't know if we're going to sign
I
Mitch anyway. That's the
I'd be
that's the
more
thing.
I I'd be more inclined to give them back their own pick.
So keep Mitch. Just give them. Can you do that? Can you just do a pick for a player? He's making.
If we have the roster spot, we can, and we have that $1 million or whatever it is that we got from the Lakers that could act as some type of filler. If you had to match dollar for dollar, I don't think you do. Um,
Hmm.
or we could throw in a you know what I mean, a Knox and you know what I mean, and something. I just
Hmm.
and to your point, I think the good thing is he already has those ties to this organization. You know what I mean? So like
Hmm.
bringing him in early, I get it, but I think that would fit more so with another player who doesn't have any ties to the organization and would be iffy about staying. I don't think he would be iffy about
Gotcha.
staying. I think he wants to be here. You know what I mean? So I think ultimately he'll be here next year. I
Okay.
really
All
believe that.
right. Shout out to the chat. Randberg Brunson is 6'3" or 6'4". Just have short arms. Um, who's Thorny Music? I hope I got that right. Make that trade ASAP and pick up a big that will be waived after the deadline.
Okay.
Kerry
And
Cox.
somebody
Shout
did
out to
make a
Kerry
good point.
Cox. Go ahead, say it.
That Randall's extension kicks in. I didn't even think about that
So that's
next
gonna
year.
put us over.
Yeah.
That's going to put us over. Shout out to Kerry Cox, always rocking with us. I appreciate you. Love to get Brunson now, but trade for Cam or Terrence Ross and get Brunson as an unrestricted free agent. But I don't think we're going to have the money in free agency. That's the um, that's the issue. And but another one
What do you,
is, would we have his bird rights if we get him? If we traded for him, right?
yeah, that's
And
those are things we got to
yeah,
figure out.
yeah. Brunson is a hybrid of Derek Fisher and Raymond Felton. I mean, listen, he's not flashy, right? And so, yeah, Funky Goose World. I agree with you. He's not like a flashy point guard. He's just really solid. And I don't know. Maybe it's because we haven't had one. We haven't had a real solid point guard in a long time. I'm like, I'll take it. I'm like, I'll take it. You know. Um,
Yeah,
but yeah,
he reminds me of I call him Malcolm Brogdon light.
yes,
He reminds
yes,
me of
yeah.
poor man's Malcolm Brogdon.
Yeah. Shout out to Kaiser Sozi or Soz 718. I want Anthony Simmons over Brunson. I don't think Anthony Simmons is a point guard. I think Anthony Simmons is an off guard.
It's like another quickly.
Yeah,
He would have
yeah,
to
yeah,
develop into that role.
yeah. And I would think that they're trying to develop him for after this thing gets blown up and Dame gets shipped off somewhere, that they'll have, a young guard to kind of step in. I mean, I don't think he's going to be Dame, but they'll have somebody. Simmons is Dame's backup. Yeah, but do you see him as a point guard? Mm, I would prefer.
I think if we brought him in, I'd put quickly at the point and let him develop into
Yeah,
whatever role he's gonna become.
yeah, yeah. I think Brunson is more of a point guard, if that makes sense, than Simmons is. Um, Thank you, Jerry Fidds. I got no Kimba tonight, but Taj and Noel are playing. All right. Okay. All
I
right.
hope so. I hope he's back.
All right. So,
And Terry
so
Pack
then,
says Simmons is Dame's backup. So
yes. Yeah.
uh,
Okay.
what are we going with?
I mean, I just feel like Simmons is good, but I feel like we got Quickly, who may not be on Simmons level right now, but similar, combo guard type players that can shoot. Um, we'll see. My preference would be Brunson over Simmons, but Simmons is a talent. I'm not gonna. You can't sleep on that. Um, so if we get Brunson, what happens to D Rose, Kimba, and Deuce? Yeah, it's a
Um,
wrap.
we'll figure it out. Cream always rises to the top. That's what you said
Keep the
last week.
cream always rises to the top. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think D Rose will be good anyway because he plays on the second team. So if he's still here and they haven't traded him and he's not injured, I don't think that's going to change. Do you?
Yeah. Um, no, not at all. I think and quickly obviously can play multiple positions at this point. You know what I mean, one and two. So he just solidifies himself at the two guard once Rose is back. Um, I would hope we're moving Kimber somehow. I wouldn't want him to linger on, you know
Hmm.
what I mean, on the team. I don't think that's a good look. But other than that, I think everything else will work itself out. And I
Yeah,
think Kimber's
definitely,
still gonna fight for his spot. You know what I mean? He's not gonna just give it up. So maybe that lights a fire under him.
definitely, definitely. Salute, Danny Melendez. Appreciate you. Now, this one comes from uh, that actual show that we did yesterday, the trade special, um, and it's about the direction of the team. A lot of the fans want Cam Reddish, and Cam Reddish can play. This is not about Cam Reddish and whether or not he can play and whether or not he can't play. I will say though that he's more of a scorer, 3-point shooter. I don't think you're going to get a lot of those other stats like assists, steals, blocks, things of
Mhm.
that, nature from him. Um, he has the physical tools to defend. I'm not quite sure if he is a good defender, but he definitely has the tools to defend. But the trade deadline is coming up. I believe that the Knicks um, still want to be perennial, uh, a perennial playoff team, a contender at some point. But I think at this point, the Knicks are really want to be in the playoffs every year. I don't think the Knicks are trying to reset with young players, right? So for me, in terms of the direction for the Knicks at the trade deadline, my preference would not be to go for another young player on a rookie contract where we don't really know how they're going to develop. We got Obi in that position already. We got IQ in that position already. We got McBride in that position. We got Grimes in that position. You can argue that RJ is still in that position in the sense that we're still trying to find out who he's going to become. You can argue Mitch is in that position, right? That's 6 players on this team already where we don't know what they're going to be. And I didn't even include Knox,
I was just about.
which would make it seven
I was
players.
just about to say that.
Right. So I just feel like we want to bring in another player, a young player. I think he's 23. I think he has one more year left on his rookie contract where we don't know who he's going to be. And what that means is that somebody else that we have to develop. My
Mm,
preference would be to go for um, a young vet that we got a lot of young players, in my opinion, already. To go for a young vet to put on this team, either at that point guard position, at that wing position, or at that center position, um, who can shoot. So,
mm.
do you agree or disagree that we should go for a young vet, or are you okay with going for another young player?
I think both can be true. I think if you could give up a Knox who ends up being an expiring for them, because I believe the reason they want to move him is because they don't want to pay him. They know he's extension eligible
Mm-hmm.
after this year, and in this case we'll give him Knox and a second or two. If that could swing it off, if we could pull it off that way, I would do it, because I think he still has to earn his spot. He still has a full year to kind of grow and learn the team and figure out who he is, and we can still have room to make one, the move that you're referring to. But as far as making that move as a definitive thing, no, no. I think if we would have did it in the off season and maybe saved that Fournier money and then put that into a point guard, you know what I mean? I
Mm-hmm.
would have
Mm-hmm.
liked a move like that. But at this point, I don't know if he definitively cracks the rotation. Um, Maybe if you're moving Burks in a bigger move that you're referring to, a more important move, a more veteran savvy person or whatever the case, maybe then you could do both. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But um, I agree with you. Cam is not pushing the needle. It's I don't even know if it's a lateral move at this point. Uh,
Right. Yeah. But in general, I mean, not necessarily Cam per se, but in general, as far as the direction of the team, are you okay with adding yet another, Cam or whoever, yet another young
mm.
person that needs to be developed? Or would you be
Oh,
more in
not
favor
no
of
no
adding
not
a
not.
vet,
not I mean, I'll
a
take
young
a
vet?
young person who doesn't need to be developed either. I mean, you know what I mean, as well. So it's not really about
The
the age,
age.
but yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I don't want another development project unless he's somewhere at the bottom of the bench, could potentially get a spot minutes and earn a
Mm-hmm.
look here or there. You know what I mean? The way Grimes does, the way Obi does, the way,
Mm-hmm.
but
Mm-hmm.
he would have to be replacing one. I wouldn't want to
Mm-hmm.
add it to the young core. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
We would have to get rid of one or two to do
Mm-hmm.
it.
Right. So Kaiser saw Z17, Dame Randle, RJ, and Scraps doesn't win a title and mortgage in the future because we will have 0 picks for you. Well, that must be something that's going on in the chat. That's not what I'm. That's not what I'm.
Oh, let
That's
me
not what
go
I'm
back
talking
because
about.
we got our first super chat for the crossover.
Thank
So,
you.
1978 Jam Rock, appreciate you. Would you give up quickly and two firsts for Halliburton?
I I like Halliburton. I just feel like he's not there yet to give up two firsts and a player. But I like Halliburton. I like him. What's your
That's
thoughts on that?
tough. That's tough. Quickly. See, I think if you talk about a different player, maybe. I don't mind the two firsts, but the two first is you know what I mean, is gonna have to
Supplement.
supplement. Yeah, we're not giving you one of our young core. You know what I mean? Like, and it goes back to what you're saying about you don't think he's there yet, which would mean he has to develop still. Correct? Like,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's there yet for quickly and two firsts, but quickly in a first, I might.
mm,
Quickly in a first, I might.
mm,
Two firsts, and listen, I'm okay with giving up draft picks. We got a lot of them, um, but I just want to make sure that we use them wisely. But
mhm.
Halliburton, I think Halliburton is better than Quickly right now. But more importantly, I think Halliburton is more of what we need, right?
You
More,
think he's
even if
better
they
than
were
Brunson?
even player, right? Even if they were like even, Halliburton is more of what we need. I mean, this guy plays beyond his years, if you watch him play. But I just don't think, like as Josh was saying, I just don't think he's at that point to give up two firsts and a young player. But a few years
Do,
down the
do you
line, he will be. He will be.
do you like Halliburton over Brunson? If the same package gets you either one,
I
who you
would
go
take
for?
Brunson only because of the experience.
Experience.
Halliburton is not there yet, but when you look at him, he will be there in a few years. That's the only issue with
Mm,
him is that he's just not there yet. I think this is his second year, but
mm.
this guy is going to be good. He's going to be good.
I I I might take Halliburton over Brunson,
Okay.
and
Okay.
I agree that he's not like he's only going to get better. That's why.
Right. Right.
I don't know how much better Brunson's going to get. You know what I
That's a
mean?
very good
I mean,
point. That's a very
now
good point.
granted, IQ he's not going to lose, so he'll
Right.
be able to have a long career regardless. But
Mm-hmm.
as far as better, I don't know how much better he's gonna get. So
Yeah.
I think I would go with Halliburton over Brunson. I think I
Yeah.
would do quickly and a pick.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would do two picks and not him or Obi because I
Mm-hmm.
think Halliburton with Obi would be even better than Halliburton with quickly.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I would do it, but not quickly in two picks.
Yeah,
It's
I
got to
think
be
that's
one or
too
the
much.
other. Thank you for the
Yeah.
super chat. We appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely. We do appreciate it. Thank you for the question and adding to the content. I'm telling you, the chat comes through for us. Appreciate you.
That's right, and we need y'all because a lot of our segments are going to be. We're going to do a comment segment every week. So leave
Right.
your comments now and after the video, and we'll definitely bring them up next week.
Right. Brunson over Halliburton. We have too many not there yet. That's
That's what you were
that's
saying.
that's been my point. But to your point, Tony, I agree. The ceiling on Halliburton is higher than Brunson, probably higher than Brunson, and it's just how many years it's going to take him to get there. And you know
Mm-hmm.
what? And a lot of it has to do with the fact that this team is not functioning. Because if this can you imagine last year's team? and we came into this year and we was playing well and we was on that same trajectory, we would not be talking about Halliburton right now. We would be saying Brunson. We need for this team, we need an experienced guard for this team. But because the team is not functioning well and we don't know where we are, you know, that opens the door for Cam Reddish. That opens the door for a Halliburton. Whereas if you think about last year's team, that door would have been shut. We would not be thinking
Yeah.
about young players like that, right? So a lot of it does have to do with the fact that we don't really know where we are. Are we a playoff team? Are we a play-in team? Are we a rebuilding team?
I
I don't
mean,
know. What do you
I
know? What do
think
you think, chat?
uh I think we're a
Are we
playoff team.
rebuilding? Playing? You think we're a playoff team?
I think so.
If
I think
if
so.
we're a playoff team, then
Let me rephrase it. I'm gonna say I think we're at least a play-in team, wherever that falls from that. Was it 8, 9, 10, 7, 8, 9, 10? I
mhm,
think that's where we are right now. I think we could
okay,
improve from that, but I think that's where we are right now.
okay. And so you think with a playing team, there's room for a rookie or second year point guard?
Mhm. Well, I'm not giving up on Kemba, so kind of no. Now, if we're moving on from Kemba, and we think
Hmm.
that's gonna like that's a long term move that could work.
Hmm.
Now, I'm not opposed to it.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Especially with the uncertainty, the chemistry is hasn't hit yet. So I could see us going that route. I
Hmm.
think Brunson is more likely because of the ties to the organization, though. I will say that.
I mean, I am hearing that Dallas is high on him. It's just that they're gonna have to. They can't sign everybody. I think Finney Smith is also up, for a contract, so they're gonna have to choose. Now, I don't know if this was a joke or a misspelling. We are a play out team. All right. I
Well,
mean, I had one
hopefully
more.
hopefully we
Yeah,
become an outplay team and start outplaying some teams.
right. I had one more, but for the sake of time, I guess we could move on to the uh,
Let's let's
next
let's
segment.
do let's do Nicks and Bruises.
Okay, go ahead.
Let's do that. And I don't know if it's a Nick or a bruise for me.
Hmm.
I think it started off as a Nick, and it basically became a bruise, and it's pretty upsetting to me. This whole Julius Randle debacle. I'm not mad with him. I'm
Hmm.
more mad with the fans. I'm more mad with the media always poking. Like before this even happened, we was talking about this on Sim's channel. The media, they always picking and poking, trying to get some type of controversial comment, response, um, something. And Julius is definitely at fault. You know what I mean? He fell for it. He could have very
Right.
easily not gave the response he gave. And I'm not talking about the thumbs down. I'm talking about the answering the questions, the
Right.
follow up, the double down on.
Right.
So he's
On
not
what he
absorbed.
meant.
Yeah, he's not absorbed from it at all. But even with the little interview he did, whether that was today or yesterday, the first time him talking about it and saying, repeatedly, I already addressed it. Like once he said I addressed it once, leave it alone. You know, they don't continue to pick and poke and try to make this thing bigger than it actually is.
Hmm.
So that's been my big bruise. It started off as a Nick. It's snowballed over the past couple of days. His bad, I won't even say his bad performance because I don't think he had a bad performance. I think he didn't shoot a lot and he didn't shoot well. 2 points.
Hmm.
Um. So yeah, but that didn't help. The 2 points. I'm expecting. Uh, he's gonna have to put together some dominant performances to change things around right now. So he definitely put a little bit more pressure on himself. But
Right.
you know, pressure makes diamonds.
No doubt.
So
But
let's see if he can shine.
you think the 2 points though was like, how do you understand the 2 points? Do you understand it as him not showing up, or do you understand it as, RJ had it going on, so he was just kind of taking a step back, or do you feel like he was shook? I heard some people on Twitter in the chat saying they thought he was shook because of the backlash from the fans and the media and what have you.
I
Um,
I I'd never say shook. I
mhm,
Did it affect him? It looked like it affected him.
okay.
Um, I don't think it helped with Tibbs pulling Obi. And with 9 minutes left in the fourth, I believe, bringing Randle back in, it almost felt like Tibbs was trying to get him to just get some buckets and maybe turn things around a little bit, not for the
Hmm.
team, but for Randle.
Hmm.
And I, I didn't like that optically. I knew it was going to be a big issue amongst fans, Robert Obi in the minutes and this, and that. And then the fact that, he played those extra 4 minutes or so that he probably didn't need to. The game was out of reach. Um, and didn't score still. It just doesn't look good optically. I don't think he was disengaged. Even that 4 minute run that he played at the end of the fourth, where he probably shouldn't have played, he didn't really touch the ball in those 4 minutes. But it wasn't because of it wasn't because of
Hmm.
anything he did. We had it
Hmm.
rolling with the ball movement, and that's what happened. Today's
Hmm.
gonna be interesting though, because I think he is aggressive today. Won't be 7 shots, I'll tell you that. Might be 27.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, can we comment on other people's nicks and bruises?
Absolutely.
Um, yeah, I didn't have that actually, but that was a bruise for me. I'm used to it. I've been watching the Knicks for a very long time, over 40 years. I seen the same thing with Carmelo. I saw the
Hmm.
same thing with Patrick Ewing, um,
Marbury.
Marbury, and I have to be honest. I'm not. The fans can do what they want. I'm part of the fans, right? I never understood it. I just never understood. I mean, I get booing, I get booing, but I never got just how I use the same word all the time, venomous, just how venomous the fans can be. Booing is one thing. Going on the wife's um, page and I don't know if they were. I heard some people say they were, heckling her at the garden. I'm not sure about that. I just think that that's overboard.
Hmm.
I think these are players that they're not playing well. They're not playing well. We're not gonna sugarcoat that. Um, and if you want to let them know you don't appreciate how they're playing, I get that too. But I just think there's a line, and I think we just crossing the line with our own players crossing
Yeah.
the line. And there was a headline somewhere that said, "Okay, ahead, Tom."
I was just gonna say, ultimately, it makes it harder for us to bring guys in anyway. So if this the best guy we got, he's done a great job last year. He's not playing up to par. I get it. Boo him if you want. Don't be disrespectful. Don't go overboard. But even if you're gonna boo him, why not try to encourage him instead of boo him? Why not make it so that other players see this and say, look how the fans are uplifting this team. They believe in them. I want to play for that organization with that fan base, rather than saying, hey, I might have a great year, but if I'm in a slump next year, they're gonna forget all about that what I did last year. I mean, we know it comes with the territory. I think Randall is built for it. I like that he's going through it, honestly, because I think it's only going to make him stronger. And then if he ultimately isn't built for it, it will lead to him not being here.
Right,
But let's keep it at a fair ratio,
right.
in
That's the
balance.
thing. That's the thing. Keep it in bounds. And I think booing is in bounds. But some of this stuff is just is really out of bounds. And there was an article and said, does Randle have to repair his relationship with the fans? And I'm saying to myself, like that is so that's like that's like you in a relationship with your husband, your wife, your mom, or whatever, and you do something good, and they like, oh, my husband is the best, this, that, and then you forget to do something, and your husband or your wife verbally abuses you in front of everybody, and then you, for once, you snap back, and now everybody want to know, well, are you going to repair the relationship? Well, forget about everything that was done to me. The one time I say something back, am I going to repair the relationship? And that's what it seems like is happening. You know, you said
and
what you said. Randall said what he said. That's it.
and honestly, what if he would have said, "Well, how do I do that?" Because that's what I would have said. I gave my statement. I
Mm-hmm.
apologize for my role. You know what I mean?
Right. Mm-hmm.
What am I supposed to do beyond that? So I love his
Right.
comment of I already addressed it, and
Right.
that being the response to anything about that. I love that. You know,
Because the more
some
you
media
say,
outlets try to give him flack for
mm-hmm,
that, and
mm-hmm,
I'm like, it's all right. He doing the right thing.
because the more you keep it going, it's just going to keep going. If he say one little, it's just going to keep going. So, um, yeah. I'm with you, Canal Ban Lawyer. I don't care what he says to the fans either. Just play.
Mm-hmm.
Just play. you know? But you said that was your Nick and Bruce?
Yeah, because it started as a Nick. You know, I wasn't that serious about it. I didn't I liked his thumbs down thing. I don't care about it. You know what I mean? If you giving it to me and now I'm doing good and you want to cheer me, I probably would have did thumbs down. I probably would have uh like did like, oh, you know what I mean, something like this, like, oh, now you like me or something. But whatever.
Right.
Even if he would have said that in the post game, like the thumbs down, I was basically saying, "Oh, now y'all like me." You know what I mean? I would have been okay with that.
Right. That's true.
But when you use the vulgar language, I think that's what he was fined for. It just didn't look good optically. But he's
Optically.
okay. He's entitled to make his first Nick mistake. You know what I mean? He's been handling things like a true professional for 2.5 years. He's entitled to slip up. We've seen a lot worse from players, and I think he'll be okay
Right. And the
ultimately.
slip
But I
up for
think the fans
you,
got to ease up. Okay.
definitely. Definitely. Like it's just it's out of control. It was the same thing with Patrick Ewing. Listen, I only got four favorite. I've been watching the game for 40 years. I only got four favorite players. It takes a lot to impress me. And Patrick Ewing is one of those players. This guy gave everything he had to. I mean, you could take the court and you could wring it out, and Patrick Ewing's blood and tears and sweat would be on it. And they killed him. And they killed him. That's just, and I never understood it. I thought it was overboard then. Um, as well. But to your point, you're saying not necessarily that he responded in the press conference. It's just that how he said it
Yeah.
when he said
Yeah.
STFU. It wasn't that he responded,
Yes.
and it was just what he said. Right? Okay, gotcha.
Just what he said, because I think that's what ultimately got him fined. And even if he articulated himself, he could have did that and
Right,
really
right,
been specific about what it was. You know what I mean? Because obviously it was more than just the boos. He's heard boos before. He's heard
right.
cheers before. You know, it's. I think it was the other thing, the extras,
The
the
extras.
out of bounds stuff that
Right,
you know shouldn't be allowed. And not for nothing, my gripe with the fans is more than just this. It dates back to the F Trey Young. It dates back to the spitting on Trey Young. Like, this is stuff that shouldn't represent the Knicks, shouldn't represent New York, and
right,
I don't like being in that fan base and having I can't defend them. You know what I mean?
right.
Can't defend that.
But you can't. But I'm wondering if it's just a small segment of the fan base, but because they're the loudest, it comes across as this is just the New York fan base. But it's been going on for a long time. There's no doubt about it. It's been going on for a long time. Um, it's toxic. And again, I'm not talking about the booing. I'm not talking about that. The overboard. And you know what? We don't even know when he said what he said in the press conference. I don't think it was just what was happening in that game, because how strong it came out made me think this has
Mm-hmm.
been building for a little while. And it could have been also how he was feeling about what was being put on his wife's page and what have you. I think it was
Mm-hmm.
just all of it coming to a boil in
I,
that press conference.
that's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying. The
Yeah.
good good thing he had COVID. Like we seen it in MBK chats where I'm like, yo,
Oh,
we gotta get this guy out of here. Like you can't say things like that. Even if you're joking, it's not. You know what I
right,
mean? In the times we're in right now, that's not cool. That's not
right,
cool.
right. You mean when he was in
When he was gonna
health and
miss those
safety
games,
protocol? Yeah.
yeah. There was like, people cheering that and championing it. It's one thing to say on the maybe say on the bright side, maybe we'll get to see Obi get his chance or something of that nature.
Hmm.
There's no reason
Right,
to even mention COVID and Randle as a you know what I mean, as the positive thing. Talk about what you're happy about. You're getting to see Obi.
right,
You know what I mean? So
right. Yeah.
yeah,
Appreciate
I
you,
feel like
Stafford Don.
I got a lot out right now because
Right.
it
Yeah,
really
and
was bothering me.
I don't think it's something that's going to stop. I don't there's no way to convince the fans to stay. I like the way you put it, inbounds. Boo, voice your displeasure, whatever, but just stay in bounds with it. I don't think there's any way we're going to be able to convince the fans of that. And everybody getting on him for scoring just 2 points. But then when he go out there and hogs the ball, and he doesn't pass, and he scored 28. Oh, those was what they call them. Um, we didn't need those points. He just chasing points, and
Oh,
he not getting
hmm,
everybody involved. He can't win for losing.
empty
So
stats.
yeah, empty stats. Yes. So I don't even know. My nicks and bruises sound real small compared to that. But anyway, my nick was, Fournier missing that second game in Boston. I was really looking forward to getting that win and possibly getting. I don't know if we would have went to 500 with that win, but it would have been, we would have gotten
I think
closer.
so.
Yeah, and Fournier plays pretty well against them. Kimber as well, but he was out, so that was a little nick. I was disappointed in that. I wanted him to play. You knew they was gunning for us. We won at the buzzer, so they probably was thinking that was luck. So they was coming out strong, and I was hoping Fournier would be there to have not another 41-point game, but to play well. So that was my nick, and my bruise was the same game. The Knicks losing by 25 points after being close at the half. I think the Knicks was just down 4 at the half. So in the second half of the game, second half, yeah, you go out and lose by 25 points. That was a beatdown. That was a beatdown. And so I think, yeah, that was my bruise for this week. Just that getting killed um, in Boston. Yeah.
I mean, those are good. Those are good. Especially I mean, well, not good. They're bad. They're nicks and bruises. But the second one, I definitely feel you. Actually, I feel you on both because averaging 35 against them at that time, 11 against the rest of the league. So and we needed it. We definitely needed that 35 points. It would have been nice.
Yeah. Yeah. Definitely.
But
It,
they came out with something to prove. They
no
blew a
doubt about it.
25-point lead the game before. It was heavy on their mind. Like we got to do something. I think they literally just fought harder than us, played harder down. In that second
Yeah.
half,
Yeah.
and that's what it boiled down to.
Yeah.
What segment we got next?
Coach's decision, but I want to give this shout out to Big Chino. Steph, we got to
for
stop
sure.
acting as if Randall's criticism is based on missed shots or taking shots. He might be the laziest defender on the team. The bad body language only makes it worse. Nobody is saying that the criticism is because of shots, or we're not even talking about why you're criticizing. You could criticize him all you want. You could boo him all you want. That's not the issue. The issue is when it goes out of bounds and people are on his wife's page and people are, saying what they're saying to her at the game, and people, he's in health and safety protocol, and people are hoping, I don't know, that he doesn't come back. That's what I'm talking about. There are times when he's like, I don't know why people are all into his body language. That doesn't bother me at all. But yeah, him not playing well offensively, him taking bad shots, him not making quick decisions, him not being fully engaged on the defensive end. I have a problem with that as well. So that's not the issue. The issue is the boo. I don't even have a problem with the fans booing. It's getting out. It's out of control. It's out of bounds. That's the issue. But
And I think we just stumbled upon a new segment, Steph. Out of
what's that?
bounds.
Out of
Out of bounds.
bounds. Let me
We're
write
gonna
that. You
figure
not
out
gotta
if
write
it's
it down. My
inbounds or out of
memory.
inbounds or out of bounds. So that's
Yeah,
we working to give
we
you some
working. We
some
working.
original content, and we appreciate your input on it as well. So if you got any ideas for segments or things you want to hear us talk about, leave it in the
Right.
comment and we review them.
Right. So yeah, now coaches. Yeah, coach's decision.
Coach's decision. I'm gonna go with him going to RJ down the stretch. Him going to RJ down the stretch. Back to back games. I mean, I guess you could go back to the game winner, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And it kind of started there, giving him that opportunity to close out the game. Something we very rarely saw
Mm-hmm.
in the past. I think he had two other opportunities before to close out a game. The Minnesota game and the Miami game, both last year. So we've seen it. Um, but he did it. He gave it to RJ, and RJ finished. And then after that, we seen him go on some stretches, some runs where he's really taking over the game. Um,
Yeah.
and that could be a tribute to RJ, of course. But I'm giving some of that kudos to coach for maybe recognizing a different RJ and giving him that opportunity as well. So
Yeah.
that's
I think he had
definitely
a
my
good game or two before that.
hmm
Didn't he have a good game or two before that? Before he
he
called his
did.
number. Yeah.
He did. He did. He's been on a nice little tear. I think a
Yeah.
five,
Yeah.
6 game
Yeah.
stretch right now.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Definitely.
that is my
Do
coach's decision.
Do you think we're running different offense for other than that last shot for RJ, or do you think he's just finding his way within the offense?
That's a great question because even what he's doing as of recently, it's not like we haven't seen that from him before.
Mm-hmm.
Like last year, he was kind of the second option, right?
Mm-hmm.
I talked about pecking order all year long, and saying how that has affected our team because we know who Randle is, but on any given night we don't know who's the number two, who's the number three, if we have a number two and number, you know what I mean. So
Mm-hmm.
I think yes, I think we kind of pushed him back into that number
Mm-hmm.
two role. You're the number two option.
Mm-hmm.
Let Fournier get it when he get it how he get it. Luckily, he's starting to come on as well now. But I don't know if he's the number two. I think RJ has to be the number two guy, and they're going that way. I think they're leaning that way as of late.
I mean, for me, I just think that it was RJ. I don't think, and I'm going to look closer tonight. I don't think we're doing anything different. I don't think we're doing any different sets. Um, I just think something clicked with RJ, and he just stepped up and he started taking advantage of being more aggressive. And that's the same thing with Fournier. People complain, not
Hmm.
everybody, but shout out to Andy, that the offense is not for Fournier. But against Boston, he makes it for him. So if you can do that against Boston, then you could do that against any team. And that's the same thing, for RJ. People try to feed this narrative that, oh, RJ's playing better because there's been some change in the offense, or he's not in the corner anymore. He's not. No, no. RJ is playing better because RJ woke up one day and said, you know what? I got to play better. I got to do more. And when I get the ball, you in that triple threat position, you don't have to shoot it. You could pass it. You could dribble and create something for somebody else. And that's what he's doing. He's being aggressive. So I don't want to hear anything about the offense for both RJ and Fournier. Be aggressive each game. Obviously, you're not going to score 30 points each game, but your approach, that aggressive approach, there's nothing stopping that, you know? So yeah, I thought that was a good decision for Tibbs to recognize he was playing well and draw that play up for him. You
All
know,
right. How about a coach's challenge? Anything
go
that
ahead.
stood out that
I
Tibbs
don't
did?
have a coach's challenge. I got a
You don't
coach's
have one?
decision too.
Okay, I hear you. I hear you. I hear you.
um,
I didn't really have a
maybe
challenge.
maybe bringing Randle in like you talked about earlier instead of for Obi instead of letting Obi play it out.
Hmm. Hmm. That's I mean, that's probably the closest thing I have as well. I do have a question
Mhm.
because I didn't really see. I've been an advocate of letting these guys grow and play. Do you think Obi's being visibly upset, like it's visibly upsetting him when he's getting pulled? Do you think there's a strain on the relationship between him and Tibbs? Do you think he's unaware of why he's being pulled when he's getting pulled, or and do you think coaches explain it to him after if that's the case, or is it just something that's lingering and building?
Now I didn't see that. Was I've seen it in the past, but did that happen last game as well?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm real old school, so I don't expect anybody to agree with me on this, right? I feel like this is your second year in the league. When I put you in, if I'm the coach, you play, and when I take you out, you come out. That's it. I just think that it's okay to be upset. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to be upset. It's okay to be disappointed. But I think to call attention to yourself, or there's been times when he would like kind of look Tibbs' way, or something like that. That's different, right? Being disappointed is one thing. Like looking at the coach, like, what you doing? Why you taking me out? That's something totally different.
Mm-hmm.
And I just think that he's just hasn't been in the league that long to be questioning the coach in that manner. Now, don't get me wrong. You could go to the coach and be like, look, I'm trying to understand what I need to do to stay on the floor more. Um, like stuff like that, or
Mm-hmm.
be disappointed, that you pulled out. I'm not nobody's saying that you should laugh and run off you disappointed,
Yeah.
fine. But those some of them times I felt like he was like trying to show Tibbs up. And I
You
think he's
think it
just
was
getting
demonstrative, or is that
not
too strong?
yesterday. I
No,
think that's
well,
too
no,
strong. But go ahead.
just like the times that you're referring to. You think it was
I
the
thought so.
demonstrative? Yeah.
A little demonstrative, little, like, not like, oh, why you, it wasn't like that, but it was, just like a little look like, like,
Yeah, I mean,
what's that about?
sometimes I get the feel like you said, what's that about? But more in the sense of he doesn't know why. You know what I mean? And I hope that's not the case. I
Right.
would think that these are issues that he's been spoken to about, and maybe
Mm-hmm.
it's reoccurring, and maybe that's why. And you've coached, so
Mm-hmm.
how often have you ever pulled somebody out the game and they weren't
Upset.
upset about it?
Oh, I'm okay with him being upset. I want you to be upset. That's not it. I just saw like one or two times where he
Hmm.
just kind of like gave Tibbs that look like, Like, what you doing? I'm playing well. And I'm like, it's not about you. You know, it's a bigger picture here, you know? Um, so I just feel like, and again, I'm old school. I will acknowledge that. I just feel like you haven't been in the league long enough.
No,
Not to
I
be
agree.
disappointed, not to be disappointed. You could be disappointed, but to kind of like show them up a little bit. Like I seen it like once or twice.
I agree 100%. And it wasn't more of I was just wondering if you noticed Obi's demeanor of it, and do you think that is something to keep an eye on, or I mean, I think he should
Yeah,
be used to it from last year. You know what I mean? Like
right,
he's earned a bigger role,
right.
so just keep earning your bigger role and get it
But you
how
know
you get it.
what? It's been come his role since Randall has come back off of health and safety protocols has been less.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's averaging less minutes,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So that's what we was talking about yesterday. You know, like is he losing confidence, or I didn't even think about that. Tone, is there a rift between him and Tibbs because you know he's not getting enough time?
I think that's a tribute to the team, and maybe Obi's being affected by this, but that's a tribute to the team not really showing anything while Randall was gone as far as wins.
Mm,
So you know what I mean. Had we won a game or two
mm-hmm,
during that stretch, I
mm-hmm,
think Tibbs would have looked at it a little bit different because guys played well. You know what I mean
mm-hmm.
individually while
Right.
Randall was out, but we
Mm-hmm.
couldn't muster a win. So it kind of just probably reiterated in Tibbs' mind, like we need, you know, we need him to win. He does
Right.
too much, and
Right.
and I think that's what it more boiled down to. I think it's like a an effect of like what do you call it? Victim of circumstance,
Mm-hmm.
collateral
Yeah.
damage. That's what I was
Right.
looking for.
Collateral there. Yeah. Frozen turd. He said the starter's been playing better. You know, I mean, I think that's definitely a part of it too. I mean, I know one thing Tibbs does is he analyzes groups of players that play together. You know, how does these three players play together? How do these five players play together? And what's the stats? And I think that goes into some of his decision making that we have no
Mm-hmm.
idea um, um, about.
And unfortunately, two of the guys, two of the three guys that Obi plays best with are out. Rose and Kimba. Like
Yeah, yeah,
quickly probably is the you know what I mean. Not saying in that order, but quickly is the third of the three.
right,
But
right.
two of the
And when
guys he
Quickly
plays best with are
started,
out.
he played terrible. When Quickly started, right? So that means Quickly wasn't really in that second unit. Obi, even in limited minutes, Obi looks good. Even if it's like
Mm-hmm.
10 minutes, he got 2 points, 4 rebounds, a dunk or something. But lately it hasn't been that. And I wonder if that's why Tibbs put IQ back into the second unit,
Mm-hmm.
you know. I'm not sure. Um, yeah, definitely not sure. But my coach's decision was I liked how Tibbs handled the Randall incident. Like he didn't blow it out of proportion. Um, he just said, you know what, he had a bad day at work. Um, he better not have two. Let's not make it two. And he knows what it's like to play in New York. And he left it, you know, he left it at that. He didn't say anything that Randall, like to kind of kick Randall while he was already down. You got to be better than
Mm-hmm.
that. You know,
Mm-hmm.
we expected more. Like he didn't say anything like that,
Yep.
nor did he
He
play
said
it
he's a
up.
passionate guy.
Yeah, he just kept it real smooth. He had a bad day at work. Let's not make it two. You know, let's get back at it. Basically, that's Tibbs. Tibbs is about the work. That's it. All of this other stuff, you know, let's get back at it. So that was my coach's decision. I thought Tibbs handled that the way he handles most situation when it comes to the players. Rarely does he throw players under the bus.
Mm. Uh, Duke the Don says he obviously don't like Obi. I, I don't agree with that. Um, I think he
I
I
don't
think
agree
he
either.
I think he likes Obi for what he does and wants Obi to learn and be better. And I still think there's no better way to teach these young guys than holding them to the utmost accountability. Make them know that a little mistake can affect your minutes, can affect
Right.
uh how much time you get, and
Right.
bring your best performance every night. Granted,
Yeah.
we want that from
Yeah.
everybody, including Randle.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is the thing that I'm learning about Tibbs. Obviously I've seen him in Chicago, I've seen him in Minnesota, but not up close and personal like we are now. Tibbs seems to be the type of coach when he trusts you, you got a long leash. You know when you buy them leash for the dogs, you got like
Mhm.
a 50-foot leash. If he doesn't trust you yet, your leash is short like this.
I tell
One
you,
chain.
I tell you,
You got one
I'll go,
chain on your leash.
I'll go even further. I'll go even further. When somebody really trusts their dog, what they do?
Let them off the leash.
They don't even put him off on the leash.
Yeah, that's true.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They don't even
Yeah.
put him on the leash.
Yeah.
So
And I think that's where Randle is. I think that's where RJ is. And I think that's where Fournier is. There was an article, I forgot where I read it, and they talked about that. Tibbs is not being consistent. He's being consistent. If he trusts you, you get this much. If he don't, you get that much. He's consistent. you know,
that's a
he,
fact.
he doesn't treat everybody the same. That's a fact.
All right. Anything else you want to talk about? Oh, we gotta talk about the game.
Okay, yeah, a few minutes for the game because
We
remember
gotta
the
talk
game is
about
on
the game.
ESPN, and I think they start right away. I think they start
Okay,
right away if
okay,
I'm not
okay.
mistaken.
But
But yeah, let's talk about the game.
I'm gonna just start off with I think Randall has a great performance tonight. I think his matchup is in his favor. I think this is they're lacking some shot blocking in the starting unit at least. Um, I think he needs a good game coming off
Hmm.
last or a good offensive game coming off the last one.
Hmm.
Excuse me. So I think yeah, I think Randall goes for 30 plus
Hmm.
tonight, and I'm definitely calling a win.
Yeah, I definitely think we're gonna win. Who was he matched up again? I missed the pregame today. Who's he matched up with?
What's his name?
Is it
What's his
Finney
name?
Smith?
Somebody. Mm-mm.
No, Kleber. Well,
Yes.
whoever it is.
Yes.
This is
According
this
to
is
Sim's chart, you know.
right.
So we don't know if it's
I
official, but I'm
right. Um, I think I just don't want Randall to press. I want him to play within the flow of the offense. And if
mhm.
that's 10 points, that's 10. If it's 20, it's 20. If it's 25, it's 25. Like, don't go out there trying to win the fans back over. I don't think he's going to do that anyway.
Mm-mm.
Don't go back out there pressing because people were, saying you only scored 2 points. Play your game. The game is going to ask something different of you each game. Figure out what the game is asking from you tonight. Is if it's asking you to score, score. It's always asking you to rebound because he's our
Mhm.
best rebounder.
Mhm.
But if RJ is getting off, if Fournier is getting off, you know, play off of that. I just want him to kind of like don't worry about the outside noise. Just focus in on the game. And whatever that is, that is. I'm looking forward to seeing Brunson. Um, his
Audition.
audition tonight. I'm looking forward to that. Um, and I think we have favorable matchups. I think we have more than one. I think it's more than Randall. We have favorable matchups. KP is out. Who's playing center for them? Powell? Is it
Um,
Powell or
Powell.
or
Yep, Powell.
Mitch? I need Mitch, man. There's games where Mitch double points, 3, 4 rebounds. I mean blocks, and then another game, 6 points, 7 rebounds. I need him to just comfortably move into double territory.
I just said that on a pregame show with Sim. I think he's about to go on this stretch of 10 plus double games in a row. I think he's
Right,
at that level now
right,
where he did it last year right before he got knock on wood, stay healthy. But I think
Hmm.
Mitch is ready to get back to that level where we was like, oh, now if Mitch could do this every night,
Hmm.
we got something.
Yeah.
So
You
I'm
know
ready
what,
to get there
Tony?
tonight.
When you see RJ perform the way he's been performing these last 4 or 5 games, you see the 28 game against Boston. You see a Mitch with his double doubles, and you just saying, man, the talent is on this team. You see them do it, but just not consistently and not together. This team ceiling would be really, really high if everybody was playing up to par right now.
Hmm. I asked
Th-
him right after the show last
mhm,
last week, I believe,
mhm,
or a couple days ago. I said we all attributed the Knicks' successful run down the stretch to Derrick Rose being brought in.
mhm.
But what if Derrick Rose being brought in was just a part of it? What if the
Right.
team just took that time to
To
gel, to
gel.
figure it
Right.
out anyway? You know what I mean?
Yep.
So let's hope it's more of that, and maybe Tibbs teams, it just takes a half a season to kind of
Right.
stay afloat
Right.
and figure things all out.
Right.
Because you're right, we're getting pieces showing up now. You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
Cons-
Right.
Getting more consistency. It hasn't been everybody at once.
Right.
We haven't seen that yet. We've seen, I think, one of the last two games, that maybe the first Boston one, or
Hmm.
the game before that. I felt like it was our best team win of the season.
Right.
That was probably the closest. Well,
Hmm.
actually, the last game with Randle having 2 points might have been
Right.
our best
Hmm.
team win of the
Hmm.
season. So we're getting there. We're getting
Right.
there.
Right. We are.
And
We are
early in the
definitely getting there.
season, we was like, we're finding ways to win, but we're not. We haven't even put it together yet. I think we're
Right.
back right there again, but
Right.
I think we're closer to putting it together.
Right. Because that team that went 5-1, if we can get back to that team, we could be 3-4 in the conference if we can get back to being that team on a consistent basis where everyone is showing up, every night and we're playing good. The talent is there on this team. It's just a matter of, like you said, and Sim said, putting it together. And I will say, before we get out of here, I'm not that down on Fournier. I'm just not. Like, I'm okay with Fournier finishing out his contract in New York. I think that he needs to get better. Don't get me wrong. He hasn't played up to par up to this point, but this guy can score on all three levels. And defensively, he's not elite, but he's not the worst either. I think for him, it's more about making that decision, just like Randle. I'm going to be engaged defensively on every possession and keeping that focus. And when he does that, and I love your word for him, and it's true, when he's feisty, you know, it's good. Like Miami got Duncan Robinson. If Miami could be whatever defensive team they are, I don't know what their rating is. With Duncan
Hmm.
Robinson, the Knicks can be a good defensive team with Fournier,
I
right?
agree.
Um,
I
and to
agree.
Tibbs' point, Tibbs feel the defense is okay because Tibbs doesn't look at offensive rating. He looks at field goal percentage, and the Knicks are like top 5, top 10, and he looks at interior
Points per
defense,
game.
and the Knicks are top 5. So for Tibbs, he feels that the defense is okay. It's the offense that he's has questions about.
That's interesting. That's interesting from
That's
Tibbs, right?
interesting, right? Because I thought Tibbs would be like the defense was trash. He said no, the defense is okay, but it's the offense that has to come around. The Knicks are averaging 104 points a game. That's last year's territory.
Hmm.
104 points a game.
One last thing,
Mhm.
we got to figure out how to win games without the three. And when I say without the three, I mean when it's not falling. Because even early in the season, 5-1, my concern was it felt like we were living and dying by it, and we were living at that time. And when that 3-point shot is not falling for us, it feels, and don't let me get started with free throws. But when that 3-point shot is not falling for us, I feel like it's very difficult for us to win games, and
Yeah.
our percentages as individually are down this year for our players. So um hopefully we could
Yeah.
get that right, because I like the attempts. I like the heavy attempts, but we also have to figure out. Like I like what RJ's been
Mhm.
doing recently, mixing it up. He's not just
Absolutely.
shooting 7 threes, but he's getting to the rim and attacking the rim hard.
Hmm.
I think all of our guys got to do that. For every three
Right.
you put up, you should have two layup attempts,
Right.
hard layup attempts, hard dunk attempts. You know what I mean?
Right.
But great show as
Yeah.
always.
Kerry Cox want to know what's our predictions. You're right. We talked about it. We didn't say what our
Oh,
predictions were.
I we winning. We winning tonight. I think
Yeah.
Randle carries us tonight.
Yeah. I think we get back to 500 tonight. And I think it's a total team effort. I think everybody shows up today. Everybody's not going to make the same contribution though, but I think everybody shows up today, and it's going to be a good team effort. And then at the end of the day, Jalen Brunson is going to stay behind in the locker room, and he'll be with us for that next game.
Sim said the same thing. Sim said the same thing. He's like, "Hey, Jalen, no, this way. Come to the left." You know,
Oh
yeah,
boy!
I'm thinking, man, I wonder who we sending that way. Like, all right, you could don't
Right,
come to our locker
right,
room. You gotta go over there
right,
now. Go to
right,
the mat.
right, right, right.
Oh man, but yeah.
Anyway,
Any last words?
it's a pleasure. It's always a pleasure when we get together. I appreciate you. I appreciate the chat rocking with us, rocking with MBK all season, whether it's the controversy, Queen's Court, Nicks and Bruises, pregame, postgame, morning shoot around. You guys rock with us, and we definitely appreciate it. And there's no content without the chat. So we definitely appreciate it.
That's a fact, and we definitely want this show to be really for you guys. So again, the comments are going to be super important because we're
Right,
really going to start focusing a lot of our content based off of
right,
what you guys are asking, what are you guys are
right.
thinking, and things of that nature. So we appreciate you guys. Like Steph said, there's no show without you guys.
No
Your
doubt.
Black is time. Shout out to the chat. Queen, appreciate you as always. Look forward to Queen's
Definitely.
Court. And we'll see y'all next week. Peace.